So today we're going to be taking a close look at Dunhill Custom, which is a little bit of a newer fragrance to my collection. It's one that I discovered just kind of randomly when I was browsing through the discount websites, and I looked at the note breakdown, thought it looked very appealing, and figured, you know what, it's only about $22 on clearance right now. I may as well pick it up and try it out. And for a blind buy that is of this price point, I was pretty impressed, and we're going to go over that today. I'm going to tell you how it smells, how it performs, when you can wear it, and ultimately if I think it's worth picking up. So a lot of times when you get into fragrances in this price point, you can come across a lot of disappointments. You know, that's one of the things that I've faced frequently when building up my collection. Not only when I was first starting out and gravitating towards, more affordable fragrances, but even now, I'm constantly always on the lookout and the hunt for different, cheap, affordable fragrances that are good, right? Because I like to recommend those. I like to offer those up as an option for you guys who don't want to spend a bunch of money. And I also like them for myself because, not everything has to cost, $80, $90, $100, $200 to smell good. I've really made some nice discoveries that have been around $20 to $30. One that's coming to mind right now is Azzaro Visit Pour Homme. That's a fantastic fragrance. That's literally only 20 bucks. So you don't always have to spend a lot to get a lot, to get a lot of bang for your buck. But the problem is, there are so many fragrances out there in that price point that you can really start to go down the road of getting a lot of fragrances that are maybe not so good, that are kind of a letdown. And what ends up becoming a hunt for cheap fragrances ends up costing you, potentially hundreds of dollars because you're buying all of these $20 fragrances and you're justifying it and saying, oh, it's only 20 bucks, I'll pick it up, try it and see if it's good. And when you consistently end up with fragrances that maybe aren't that good, they're not really cheap anymore after you spent a couple $100, and you could have put $100 towards something that is actually good. So my goal here on the channel is to try to weed some of these out for you, and I do think I found another one here. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and we're going to start off with how this one smells, okay? So when you first spray this one on, you get this nice red apple note. It smells fantastic. It gives it this nice kind of fruity freshness up top. Immediately following that, you get some woods and a little bit of a smokiness. So I really like that combination there because the incense and the woods kind of gives it this mature smell, but you have the apple kind of going against that and giving it this fruity freshness. It's a nice little balance there. It prevents this fragrance from going too far in either direction, whether it be too far in the fruity and potentially sweet direction, kind of rendering it as a youthful fragrance, but it also doesn't go in the direction of being super, super mature and smelling something that potentially an old man would wear, basically, is how people would categorize it. It kind of stays right in the middle. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the note breakdown here. There really isn't all that much to go over. The only top note we have is red apple. In the mid, we have pepper. And in the base, we have incense and cedar wood. So, not a whole lot to go off of. But to be fair, that's kind of really what you pick up on. The apple is what kicks this one off, smells fantastic. You do get a little bit of the pepper, which is lending to that spiciness, smells great. You pick up on that not only on skin or in the air, but on paper as well. Really comes across well. And kind of underneath all that in the opening is going to be the incense, smokiness, and also the cedar wood. Now you'll find that as this one starts to settle down, the opening kind of dissipates and you start to work into the mid and dry down. Then you pick up on more so of the smoky woods and the apple starts to fade off into the background. But I have to say, for a fragrance that's literally, again, only $20, it's impressive. It goes through a nice set of changes here. From a fruity sweetness to a smoky, woody, masculine edge, it kind of does it all. And that's what I like about it. It gives a nice bit of depth. It gives a little bit of a complexity, believe it or not. And you don't have to pay a whole lot of money to get that. One way that I describe a lot of cheaper fragrances is that they smell kind of two-dimensional, kind of flat, so to speak. You smell a fragrance that is on the more affordable side. You can tell that they have budget constraints. The quality of ingredients is going to be lower. They don't quite have that impact and that punch and that richness and that dimension like some more expensive fragrances have. And really, that just kind of makes them a little bit on the boring side. You know, there just isn't a whole lot to go through and discover. And again, that's not knocking cheap fragrances. That's just kind of how it is when you're working on smaller margins for your budgeting, right? And so with this one here, you get a little bit more of that going on. You get some of that richness, and it kind of makes it more interesting. And I do find that it has more of a dimension than a lot of other cheap fragrances do. So let's go ahead and talk about performance here. Longevity for me is going to be right around in that 5-hour range, you know, kind of right there in the middle. Nothing that you should write home about, and you definitely shouldn't pick this one up if you're looking for a super strong performing cheap fragrance. It's really not that. There are some others out there that do better than this one. But also at the end of the day, 5 hours, I really can't complain too awfully much. I find projection to be a little bit on the softer side as well. This is a fragrance that you would want to spray on heavily if you were looking to get a lot of projection out of it. If you go with your standard spray routine, that's maybe 2 or 3 or 4 sprays, that's probably not going to be enough for this one if you're looking for projection. In this instance, you would want to pump out a good amount of sprays on your skin, make sure to hit all of your pulse points, and also apply some to your clothing. That is one thing that will help with the longevity of this one, is to spray your clothes, even spray your hair. It'll stick to that and cling to that for a longer duration than your skin. So it'll help you out there, but for projection wise, you're just gonna have to spray it on heavily. And if you were gonna wanna wear this one throughout the entire day, you would wanna reapply. So that's definitely not up to everyone's standards. Not everyone wants to reapply. Not everyone wants something that's gonna be on the weaker side. But at the end of the day, for 20 bucks, all things considered with the smell, I'll let it slide. If it was a bit more subpar, I would probably pass on it. But because it has that rich, smoky incense woodiness going on, something that is a little bit uncommon with cheaper fragrances, you know, I'm all for it. In terms of when you can wear this one, definitely going to be a cooler weather scent, fall and winter time, that sort of thing. It kind of has that depth going on and just the dry woodiness that would make it great, probably more so for fall time, I would say. Winter fragrances, I would choose something maybe different, something that is even more strong and more rich. Not even necessarily in terms of performance, although that would be better to have a stronger performer for winter time, but just the smell profile alone. I think this one is more suited for fall because it has that fruity apple and then the dry woods going on, which I always kind of attribute to a fall fragrance, right? For me, for wintertime, I'm looking at tobaccos and boozy fragrances and vanillas and all that stuff, which this one doesn't have. With that being said, in a way, this could also be utilized as a signature scent all year round. Spring, fall, even summertime. If you're in climate-controlled environments, this one would be able to get the job done really well. You know, it has a nice mass appeal to it. It's very pleasing to the nose. It's not so strong or so woody and smoky to the point where it would put people off. You know, it is still very pleasant. And for a fragrance that's about 20 bucks from a good designer brand, that's pretty nice. This is a very pleasant scent that's very easy to pull off, very easy to wear. It would be a good dumb reach scent to have around in your collection if you need to kind of rush out the door and you're not sure what to wear. You can grab this one and spray it on, and it would probably have you covered for most situations. It would also be a good fragrance that you could toss in your car, you know. For fragrances that are expensive, that you really care about, it's never a good idea to store them in your vehicle no matter where you live, whether the temperatures get super cold or super hot. Temperature fluctuation is not good for a fragrance, whether it be hot or cold, and so that's why storing it in your car, which is going to be in all sorts of different environments, is never good unless it's a $20 scent and you want to have a backup ready for you in case you forgot a fragrance for the day or you do need to reapply something. I keep a bottle of Dylan Blue in my vehicle all the time, and it has come in handy multiple times, and I'm super glad that I did that. So this could be one that you could do as well. That's gonna do it for me, guys. That's my thoughts on Dunhill Custom. I will link this one up down below. Again, about 20 bucks on discounters, which is very nice. It's one that you can throw in if you already have a cart kind of going and you're ready to make another purchase on FragranceNet, for example. Toss this one in, and I would say for a lot of you, you wouldn't be disappointed. If you've tried Dunhill Custom, let me know what you think down below. I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.